Hey guys, welcome to another installment of my series where I explore different fashion aesthetics. Today we're talking about the subset of goth, which is not actually a subset of goth. It actually started as an insult, and that's the mall goth aesthetic. So before we get started, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, comment down below, let me know what you think of mall goth, and let me know what aesthetics you want me to cover in the future or any other videos you want me to do. And subscribe if you aren't already, follow me on Instagram and TikTok if you want even more fashion aesthetic content, and let's get started. So the mall goth aesthetic, or subculture if you will, began around the 80s, 90s-ish, and like I mentioned earlier, it actually started as an insult to posers and wannabe goths who seemed to care more about goth fashion rather than the culture and music. But it sort of took on a life of its own and became its own subculture based around nu metal, industrial metal, and of course the store that seemingly defined our middle school years and basically gives this aesthetic its name, Hot Topic. Though this style started in the 80s and 90s, it's been sort of experiencing a bit of a revival since the 2010s, and with TikTok becoming sort of a catalyst for various aesthetics and cores to take off, it's also been experiencing more traction since 2020, which is why I thought I'd talk about it today. Despite its name and similarities to goth aesthetics, it is actually widely considered not part of the goth community because of its focus on metal music and of course its history with its name being an insult to wannabe goths. Now, even though the goth community might look down on mall goths as being posers, my number one rule is to just wear whatever you want, so if you like the style, go for it. Maybe just don't call yourself goth if you don't want to step on any toes, unless of course you're actually into the goth music and culture. In fact, don't even bother with labels in the first place. I feel like y'all get a little too caught up in that sometimes. I just say wear what you want. The mall goth term is helpful in Googling and finding inspiration for this kind of style, but you know, don't get too caught up in labels. In terms of fashion, there are some similarities with goth, like the darker color palettes, darker clothing and makeup, and incorporation of gothic accessories, but they can also incorporate like neon colors, especially bright red colors I see a lot, and striped and checkered prints and things like that you typically wouldn't see in goth fashion. And I feel like mall goth also has a bit more of a focus on brand names and looking for specific alternative brands like Lip Service, Trip, Demonia, etc. But for tops, I would look for things like oversized sweatshirts or hoodies, band t-shirts, and it's a great way to show off what kind of music you listen to. I also see people layer long sleeves under their t-shirts, like a striped long sleeve, a mesh long sleeve, or a fishnet, and I always think that's a really cool look and a way to make your outfit a little bit more interesting. And then you can wear vests, corsets, or any kind of top with a lace-up detailing like a corset. Leather tops can work too, and leather in general is definitely a detail to look out for this aesthetic. But otherwise, I think it's not too strict in terms of like looking for certain styles of tops. Honestly, I feel like any black top could work, and even then it doesn't even have to be black. I feel like you can work in any other colors too. It just really depends on how you style it, and I feel like accessorizing is a big key to the mall goth aesthetic. For bottoms, I see a lot of trousers, baggy pants, especially like bondage pants, you know, those classic trip pants. Plaid print pants, I feel like plaid skirts work too. I feel like any kind of skirts could really work for this aesthetic, you know, again, depending on how you style it. So you can also go for like a plain black skirt or a plain red skirt, or maybe one of those lacy detailing with a lace trim on a skirt, or like ruffle detailing, kind of more of a gothic style. I feel like that could also work for this aesthetic. For shoes, I would look for platform boots, you know, like Demonias, Creepers, combat boots, sneakers, especially like chunky platform sneakers. I think even Mary Janes could work if you style them right. And I feel like there's a big emphasis on those big chunky platform shoes, but you know, any shoes that make you feel powerful will work for this aesthetic. In terms of accessories, I look for tights, and there's different ways you can go with this. You can go for striped tights, you can go for ripped tights, fishnet tights. Similarly, you can go for some striped thigh-high socks, some arm warmers. I also see a lot of piercings, or like facial lip piercings, things like that, but of course that's kind of a big decision. You don't have to go through a whole body mod to achieve this look. Dyed hair is also really common. I see a lot of chokers, silver jewelries, especially silver chains, or like those padlock necklaces. Studded, spiked bracelets or collars. Spiked or studded belts work too, or just a black leather belt. And in terms of makeup, I definitely go for like dark, heavy makeup, messy eyeliner, black lipstick, or just dark lipstick in general. Finally, I always do a little section on where to shop, so for the mall goth aesthetic, I have to mention Hot Topic, of course. I haven't stepped into a Hot Topic in years, but I assume the aesthetic is basically the same. You can also look for the brands I mentioned earlier, like Lip Service, Demonia, Trip NYC, and you can also find these brands on Depop, Poshmark, Mercari, etc. And thrifting in general is always my #1 option. I always like to buy secondhand if I can because it's more sustainable and you can find more unique pieces that way. So always recommend that. There's Dolls Kill, but I know a lot of people don't like to shop there because it is a pretty unethical company. So what I like to do if I really want something from Dolls Kill is I try to find it secondhand, again on Depop, Poshmark, Mercari, eBay as well. And Killstar is also another option that's always noted as an alternative for Dolls Kill. Disturbia also has kind of a similar aesthetic, so you might be able to find stuff there. I really like their accessories, but I've never bought from them, so take that with a grain of salt. Minga London is also a sustainable option, and they have lines for different aesthetics, so they might have a collection that has more edgy alternative styles that might fit this aesthetic as well. Another small brand I really like is Shop Trash Layer on Instagram. They sell a lot of vintage punk rave and band tees, and they just have a lot of really cool items and pieces that would look really cool in a mall goth wardrobe. Etsy is also a really great place to look for accessories and jewelry. For jewelry, I also like Regal Rose and Etta Love for silver jewelry. They have a lot of really cool, unique designs. And I actually have a giveaway going on for Etta Love right now. There's just a few more days to enter. So if you haven't already, check out my video on Y2K fashion that I just posted. And the instructions are in the description box. There's a pretty good chance to win so far. I don't think too many people have applied or signed up. So definitely check that out. You can win a $500 gift card for Etta Love. And I especially recommend their rings. I love wearing their rings. I've been wearing them a lot since I got them. So definitely check it out. But that's pretty much it for where to shop and the mall goth aesthetic. Is just a really quick deep dive, a little bit on the history and items to look for if you want to bring a little mall goth into your wardrobe. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and again, if you did, like, comment, let me know what you want to see in the future, and subscribe if you aren't already. And if you want even more fashion and aesthetic content, follow me on Instagram at DRESSRELIEF and on TikTok at DRESSRELIEF, and I'll see you guys next time.